Last night I was 5 for 6, and now here makes it 6 out of 6. Guys, what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and we are here live, probably for the last time, from my living room because my parents are going to be coming home tomorrow night. But we are live for a special live stream that, of course, I meant to do yesterday, but I just had too many other things to worry about. We're doing some other things after this, but I thought I'd at least go live and then do things during, because I'm going to be watching the season finale of Law & Order SVU Season 22 tonight. And also Organized Crime we're watching also. Of course, reviews on some of those shows will be coming soon. I promise you those are going to happen. We got a few things to talk about here. Yesterday, June 2nd, 2021, was the 7-year anniversary, of course, of when Seth Rollins turned his back on the Shield and broke up the Shield in a very surprising turn of events. Well, yesterday, June 2nd, 2021, was also a surprising turn of events as WWE continues to clean house as they released 6 more superstars. Let me pull up something really quick here. Let me show, see how many superstars within the past month WWE has released. And that includes main roster and NXT. Let me see here. Future Endeavors. Where is that? Where is it? Future Endeavors. Okay. Nope, get that out of my face. Okay. So at the beginning of the year, February, we had Lars Sullivan, Steve Cutler released. Big Show left for AEW, and Christian left for AEW. Then Andrade was released after Fastlane. Since April 15th, here's everyone that's been released. Billy Kay, Bo Dallas, Chelsea Green, Kalisto, Mickie James, Mojo Rawley, Peyton Royce, Samoa Joe, Tucker, Wesley Blake. That's 10 people right there. Alexander Wolf, bunch of no names right there. Jessamine Duke, Vanessa Bourne, Velveteen Dream, About Time. They released Adrian Verk, the announcer who came in and didn't know anything about wrestling. And then Tom Phillips got released this past week also. Then today, 6 more people. And this is the company that cleaned house last year. Last year on that Black Wednesday, April 15th, 2020, when they released like the Revival, they released like Rusev, so many other names too, like, Eric Rowan, the Good Brothers, EC3, Heath Slater, a lot of names. And of course, releasing another round, back in April, I'm like, okay, clean a little house here. Those superstars, well, again, Samoa Joe surprised me because of his talent, but obviously they had no intention of actually having him wrestle again. They were making a commentator because him being injury prone. Mickie James, especially I felt, you have a comeback run, she could have stayed, but and done commentary or something, but they had no plans for her. And I honestly can't believe I'm saying this, but again, I still thought her return was a waste because they booked her like crap the whole time. The Iconics, of course, was disappointing, and of course a few others. Some of them in that group, I could have, been like, okay, I see it coming. This set here, this is the set that included a few names that definitely concern me. Because definitely out of the 6 releases, first off, 3 of them were women. One of them, I'm glad, is gone. 2, another one, for being cut, it's like, it is what it is. The other one, that's a shocker. And the depth of the women's division has really gone down. On the main roster, of course. And not only that, but the 2 of the releases we had here Also cut down how many more women's tag teams in the tag team division. So literally, how many tag teams do we got? How many tag teams do we got on the women's, for the women's tag titles? If you're having NXT and WWE women's tag titles, there's literally no depth. Just get rid of the tag titles at this point, because there's literally nobody else. There's nobody else. It's worse than the Raw and SmackDown tag team divisions. There's nobody else to fight for those women's tag titles. The men who got released, one of them, yes, I could have seen it coming, even though it was unfortunate. The other one was a surprise, and the biggest name out of all of them, huge surprise. We're going to talk about these, and let me say though, this batch of 6, there's definitely several of these names I am very, very intrigued to hear them come out and tell a story on the podcast about what happened. Because some of these names, like I said, I am shocked. I am shocked, and I had to double take when I was sent the photo yesterday, right before lunch at work, when someone told me about these 6 getting released. We got Tyler in the live chat. He also can finally stop saying something else in the live chat he always says, because she's no longer here anymore. WWE is lazy with wrestling. They are lazy with wrestling, because all these names here are talented. They just don't allow them to be talented. And the reason why is because they can't be themselves. Or also, they don't capitalize when the iron is hot. They do capitalize when nobody cares anymore, or because they need them in that spot. They don't want them in that spot. They need them in that spot. You can tell what I'm talking about, of course, here. He's done with wrestling, get rid of the women's tag titles. He thinks 2021 is the worst year in WWE. I wouldn't say completely. I wouldn't say it's been the absolute worst. I think we've seen worse than what we're getting so far. Even though, of course, the pandemic hasn't happened at all whatsoever. But But let's talk about these 6 wrestlers. I'll give my thoughts. You guys give me your thoughts. As always, guys, make sure to leave your thoughts in the live chat or in the comments section down below if you're watching this after it goes off the air. And I'm going to try to keep this straight to the point. Got about a half hour before my evening shows are coming on. So let's talk about the one to me that was just like, it is what it is. Santana Garrett. Santana Garrett's turned my head a few times. I've not seen much of her work on the indies or anything. I've heard has done some type of like a psycho gimmick on the indies or something like that. So it was kind of like a scenario was when Deonna Purrazzo got released. Great talent for sure. I mean, we all know how big of a fan of Deonna Purrazzo I am, or Deonna Purrazzo, sorry. But obviously, again, NXT. If it is one division that's always been stacked in NXT, it's the women's division. They've always had many mega talents, future stars. Well, some went to the main roster and floundered, but some of them still, went and excelled. They've had the likes of like Paige, Charlotte, Emma, Sasha, Becky, Bayley, recently Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, Mercedes Martinez, Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, Rhea Ripley, Shayna Baszler, Ember Moon, you name it all. Sometimes it just comes to a point where where this division just isn't big enough for everyone. And unfortunately, people like, Deonna Purrazzo from last year, or like Santana Garrett, and a few others. Like, the situation was there for Santana Garrett. She was talented, of course. There just wasn't the room for her. The division was so stacked that they couldn't push everyone, unfortunately. And Santana Garrett, unfortunately, just, didn't make the cut, really. There just wasn't really many options for her. Now, of course, you got Frankie Monet coming in. Frankie Monet is obviously going straight to the top of the NXT women's division. Raquel Gonzalez is going to have a little bit of like a layover feud with Ember Moon for the championship, and then she's probably going to drop the title to Frankie Monet, probably at the Takeover SummerSlam weekend. So it was just unfortunate, but it was just like there was just no room for Santana Garrett. She's talented, but there was just no room for her in WWE, unfortunately. So she's probably going to go off to somewhere else. I hope she definitely does well. I think all 6 of these, wherever they go, will do well. But definitely the one I was just like, it is what it is. The next one I was kind of like, is what it is, but I still feel bad because I do like this talent. Buddy Murphy. Of course, Murphy, since he became Seth Rollins' disciple, because they thought it was weird having a guy as a disciple of a dark priest or whatever the heck Seth Rollins gimmick has been. Buddy Murphy became Murphy then. Now Buddy Murphy was one of those guys, one of those very special talents. I've said this before, I was not really a big fan of the whole Blake and Murphy tag team in NXT. Wasn't really the biggest fan of them. And then he came to 205 Live. Basically on the cusp of almost being released. Like 5 years ago, Buddy Murphy should have been released. Or was it... No, I'm sorry. It was like 3 or 4 years ago. He should have been released. But then, that's when Triple H started writing for 205 Live. And then, that Cruiserweight Championship tournament. That got me to watch 205 Live for a while. And they announced that Buddy Murphy was in that tournament. And I'm just like... What the hell? Like, why Buddy Murphy? What's special about him? Instantly started catching my attention. I'm like, okay. And then, he just took over the show. He took over 205 Live. The matches he had with the likes of Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, before he was Mustafa Ali. One match I always stands out to me still from the Cruiserweight. One of my favorite Cruiserweight matches for sure. I think it was in July of 2018, I'll say. Buddy Murphy, Mustafa Ali, no disqualification match. Excellent match. The guy was just awesome. And then, of course, he got that big moment of his career. Probably the biggest moment I'd say so far, for his career, for sure in WWE, was when he won the Cruiserweight Championship in his hometown of Melbourne, Australia. Went on to have a strong run with it until WrestleMania 35, when he dropped the belt to Tony Nese. Had an excellent run as champion, and then he got drafted to SmackDown. They didn't use him for months. He was barely used on SmackDown, which was unfortunate. But the few opportunities he got, it's like they felt they were about to pull the trigger on him with something. I remember he had an excellent match with Daniel Bryan. He had a great match with Roman Reigns. And a few others, but again, he obviously could hang with the main eventers. We knew he was a star. And then he got drafted to Raw. And he was being used, and that's when Paul Heyman was the executive director of Raw. And Buddy Murphy, I think, was one of Paul Heyman's guys that he was trying to push. It was like Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, Bobby Lashley, Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews was up there. It was like 6 or 7 guys or Andrade also. Like, the roster at the time on Raw was so fresh. Like, Buddy Murphy was standing out big time. I remember he had a great series of matches in the fall of 2018 into early 2019 with Aleister Black. Oh wait, no. 2019 to 2020 it was. Because after that feud ended, that's when he became Seth Rollins' disciple. It was all fine and dandy, I'd say, with him and Seth Rollins, up until they did that weird twist with that Rey Mysterio storyline last year. They had him be Aaliyah Mysterio's lover, and it was just so awkward as hell. It just did not work. It was... Oh, God, it was such cringe TV. I could not stand it. But then, after, Murphy officially turns on Rollins, they basically make it seem like that, Buddy Murphy was now going to be basically, chilling with the Mysterios on TV. I think there was going to be a feud with Ray, Dominic, and Murphy taking on King Corbin and that news crew we call the Knights of the Lone Wolf. Had Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake, who both got released, of course. Cutler went first, and then Blake went after that. And then after that, you never saw Murphy again. They teased him returning with Seth Rollins back in February, which I thought was very stupid. And then you never saw him on TV again after that. They had nothing for Buddy Murphy. So, this is one of those ones that, okay, if you're not going to use him, let him go. I know a lot of people say he should probably go to New Japan. I definitely agree that AEW is filling up their roster. They don't really have too much room for other big talents that have left WWE. So New Japan, fine with me. But, Buddy Murphy was a special talent. Like I said, he was someone that I had to, see on another level. Such as his run on 205 Live in 2018 into 2019. That just really caught my eyes. And this guy had potential to be a very special talent. And WWE just blew it. And just didn't give him a shot whatsoever. But, yeah. This one, it's unfortunate, but I kind of saw it coming. This next one, though. Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott. This one sucks. This one really sucks for me because Ruby Riott was just another special talent. One that was definitely underutilized, overlooked, because the very few opportunities she was given to stand out, she really showed that she had a lot of potential on the microphone and in the ring, all around. She came into NXT in 2017, whenever Ty Dillinger and the rest of his buddies were feuding with Sanity, and they had a feud going on with Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross. Had several great encounters and a great story between the two of them. Then they called Ruby up to the main roster. And at the time, they called up a lot of women because they felt that both Raw and SmackDown needed some fresh faces in the women's division. Even though that was when Paige made her return, and they weren't admitting it, but the Riott Squad was basically a carbon copy of what they're trying to do with Paige and her new stable, Absolution, that unfortunately flundered and went to Fire and Desire after Paige had to retire. But they kind of made Ruby Riott a completely different character. First off, she was Ruby Riott with not one, but 2 T's on the main roster. In NXT, she had 1 T, and on the main roster, she had 2 T's. As, of course, Rob-Wan Kenobi would say, Ruby Riott and her magic T's. But Ruby Riott, unfortunately to me, was treated like someone who needed, when they needed, a filler feud or something like that, like when Ronda Rousey needs someone to work with in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 35, Ruby Riott got thrown in there and she got squashed. Whenever it needed something to do for Charlotte before WrestleMania 34, who'd she take on? Ruby Riott. And out of the blue, made Ruby Riott's big mission coming to the main roster and forming the Riott Squad was to take out Charlotte Flair. And I was just like, why? And then 2018 was also the year we saw nothing for months and months and months in the drawn-out Bayley and Sasha Banks rivalry. They feuded with nobody else but the Riott Squad. And then Ruby got hurt. She went away for a while, came back, briefly feuded with Liv Morgan, then reunited them, which they had a really good story going with that. That could have led to a good run with the women's tag champs with the Riott Squad. Nope, they squandered that also. They literally dropped the ball on that as well. And now you've seen Ruby and Liv here and there have a tag match and just not be taken seriously. Especially Ruby. I mean, Liv's grown on me. I mean, I feel like, they did slow down her push. She was actually one of the women Paul Heyman wanted to push when he was executive director of Raw. But Ruby Riott was someone who definitely should have been a big star. She should have been a women's champion. This is one person I definitely hope goes to AEW. You know, if AEW needs some fresh women, talented women, look no further than Ruby Riott. She's like, what? I think she's a year or two older than me, I think it is. She's not that old. She's like in her late 20s. So, well, could be 30 because I'll be 28 this year. Who knows? And Ruby's like a year or two older than me. But, yeah, like, don't sleep on Ruby Riott. Like, definitely, you know, again, AEW I know is getting full, but if they need anything more, of course, it's definitely that women's division. Jump on Ruby Riott. The moment the 90-day no-compete clause expires, grab Ruby Riott. Grab her. And put him on your team. I'm pretty sure at some point, if Ruby Riott goes to AEW, I can see Tony Khan making her champion someday. She could be the one who dethrones Dr. Britt Baker at some point. You can do that. But, yeah, definitely one person I'm definitely saying AEW bound right here. Here's someone else that's most likely going to be AEW bound. And all I could say is, finally, this person is free. Lana. Of course, known in real life as her real name, CJ Perry. It's about time Lana got out of there. You know, Rusev got out of there. When Rusev left, Lana should have went with him. I'm sorry. Lana and Rusev made big mistakes when back in 2019, when WWE signed all those wrestlers to these big, lucrative 5-year contracts to save them from going to, other companies. Because, of course, they knew these people who wanted to go, they were talented. They go somewhere else, the eyes are being drawn on their product. And they can say, we're still getting the viewers. Shut up, your viewership is dropping big time. Raw this past week had 1.1 million viewers in the third hour. And don't make up some dumb excuse to justify it like you always do. Like, oh, Brock Lesnar's not here. Or, oh, people getting tired and had to go for school the next day. Like, shut up. Shut up and quit making excuses. Lana was someone who just... Boy, I just listen to her story. Lana came up as Rusev's manager. Of course, in real life, her and Rusev got married. They split her and Rusev up on TV in 2015 for some strange reason. Had like a mixed tag feud with her going with Dolph Ziggler, and then Rusev and Summer Rae. Remember the days of Ruru? And then Lana and Rusev's engagement gets leaked on TMZ, and they get punished for it. And after that, they just both were not booked the same after that. Lana tried wrestling. Unfortunately, she tried, but it didn't work. She improved, but Lana was never going to be a great wrestler. They had Rusev Day and Lana Day, where they kind of made them both baby faces again. And then they randomly turned them heel again after Royal Rumble 2019. And then they were gone for a while. And then here's where Lana really took a hit. When she got brought back, and the whole storyline of her leaving Rusev with Bobby Lashley, which we still to this day do not know why. Why did Lana not just leave Rusev, besides the random, he cheated on me, there's no proof of that, he just want to have sex with me, yet you were literally in bed with Bobby Lashley every week on TV. And the other question I still have is, why did she pick Bobby Lashley? And that made Lana just a psychotic, annoying bitch who just literally made no sense. Her outburst, her getting upset, her literally just, pulling Bobby Lashley's strings like a puppet, it made no sense. Some of the worst TV I've seen as a wrestling fan today. And then, of course, once Rusev got released, and then last September goes to AEW, and basically tells WWE to take that brass ring and shove it up their ass, then Lana went through a table. Then again. Then a third time. Then 4 times. Then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Nia Jax put Lana through a table. Right after she came across as one of some of the worst white heat I've ever seen, and then WWE instantly makes her more into a joke and wanted us to have sympathy for her. They made this woman sole survivor of Survivor Series when she was literally the biggest joke in the women's division. How did that make everyone else look? And unfortunately, CJ Perry had to deal with it. CJ Perry had to just deal with it because WWE was just literally giving her all the heat in the world just because of what her husband did. You know, they finally end the storyline with her and Nia Jax, and then she ended up being in a tag team with Naomi for a bit, and now, of course, that's done. Like, what took you so long to set this woman free? You kept her around, and you literally just bullied her. So, her leaving is about time. And, you know, I kind of hope she goes to AEW also and joins her husband. Both of them can go there, and, well, okay, where Lana would probably be more better off being a valet, but, you know, they could do something with her in AEW that they were not able to do in WWE. I don't know. But yeah, Lana, I'm glad is finally gone, because she was just, it was just so painful watching basically the abuse WWE gave her, pretty much. Just embarrassing her on TV every single week after all this. So yeah. So we have 2 left. We're about to get to the last 2, which I gotta hurry here because I have 8 minutes till my show comes on. I can always rewind it actually. WWE does nothing with anyone except Roman Reigns. It's very true still. What's up, Mark? The one that shocked me the most is, of course, that's what I'm about to talk about. I thought they had plans for him, me too, and it was 9 times, not 10. My bad. Okay, so here is the 2 that shocked me the most. Now, this first one, if it was like a couple months ago, I would say it wouldn't surprise me. But based off the direction they were going with him, this one shocked me. Aleister Black, or Tommy End, whatever the heck his name is. So, we all know how awesome Aleister Black is. His awesome run in NXT. I instantly became a big fan of him when he debuted at NXT TakeOver Orlando in 2017. Instantly became a fan. That theme music, badass. Just the in-ring persona and everything, perfect. It was just amazing stuff to watch. I loved it. I loved everything I saw of him. Like, this guy is going to be big, he's going to be a champion, and he sure as hell was. And he came up to the main roster. He came up as a tag team with Ricochet. But then they put him on separate brands. Originally, they were supposed to be on the same brand, but then they had to split them up, though, because that's when I was thinking of this rule of, okay, significant others have to be on the same brand now. And he got put on SmackDown, because that's where, because Andrade had to go to SmackDown, because Charlotte was on SmackDown, so that meant that Zelina Vega, who was paired with Andrade, had to go to SmackDown. So Aleister Black had to go to SmackDown, because Aleister Black is married to Zelina Vega. And they had him have this weird-ass gimmick of, pick a fight, come knock on my door, and pick a fight with me. And, you know, he still had some good matches, even though his gimmick was just super weird. The whole pick a fight stuff. He had an excellent match at Extreme Rules 2019 with Cesaro. That was an awesome hard-hitting match. I'm trying to remember who else really feud. He eventually got drafted to Raw, again in that fresh, roster with that, and he was one of Paul Heyman's guys. And true fact, I've heard rumors, if Drew McIntyre didn't get the push he got, winning the Royal Rumble, going on to beat Brock Lesnar for the championship. If it wasn't going to be Drew McIntyre, Aleister Black was Paul Heyman's second choice. Aleister Black could have gotten the run that Drew McIntyre just got. That's how big, Paul Heyman was on Aleister Black. He had a feud with AJ Styles, then he had a match with Bobby Lashley. Then he was kind of like another, hand in the whole Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins feud. Oh, he was in Money in the Bank last year also. I forgot to mention that. He was in Money in the Bank. But then out of the blue last summer, they just like pulled the plug on him and just literally within a week cut every piece of momentum Aleister Black had by having Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins pierce his eye out. He comes back and he turns heel and feuds with Kevin Owens, which should have had a great series of matches. Instead, it was a feud that literally just did nothing for either one of them. Aleister Black at the time was just a one-eyed joke to Vince McMahon. They took away his theme music. And they just literally cut off all of his momentum within a week. And then Zelina Vega got released. And I thought when Zelina got released, Aleister Black was just coming right out the door with her. But no, apparently he had minor injuries that kept him out. He recently returned to SmackDown with this Dark Father gimmick. And just 2 weeks ago on SmackDown, during that Fatal 4 for the Intercontinental Championship, came out and took out Big E, costing him the match. And that's the last time we had seen him. So, if you planned on releasing him, what was the point of that whole Dark Father gimmick? What was the point of him taking out Big E? What is the story? Because now look at it, Big E's directionless now. Who's he going to fight now? Who's he going to feud with to keep his momentum going as a single star? But another talent that WWE just completely wasted. This man was good, was Paul Heyman's second choice to get the push that Drew McIntyre got. This man could have been world champion if Paul Heyman was still executive director of Monday Night Raw. But no, Vince didn't like it. Vince didn't like the guys he was pushed, so he had to pull the trigger and pull Paul Heyman away. Just so much bullshit. Absolute bullshit. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd be cool with Aleister going to AEW. Again, I don't know if he will because of how stacked the talent is. He could go back on the Indies or wherever the heck he's gone. He could go to Impact, he could go to New Japan, he could go to wherever. But wherever he goes, give him the right booking and just let him be him. Let him have that dark, unique persona of personality that he can display, and he'll be fine. But as we get ready to wrap up here, we have one more release to talk about. This one, of course, was the biggest shocker, one of the most shocking releases I think WWE has done in a long time. Yes, this person was booked horribly, but I felt like he was one of their main men. He was one of their main men that WWE went to a lot for storylines, whether they were crappy or not. And this was one of those releases that, okay, if they release this guy, then something's really going on here in the system. This is no joke. This is literally no joke. Yesterday, when I received a text from my friend that WWE had released 6 more superstars, the first photo I saw was Braun Strowman. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this has got to be a joke. This has got to be a hoax. Like, I didn't believe it at first. I really did not believe it. Braun Strowman, the monster among men, a man who is a WWE project, literally all nothing but a WWE creation, was let go of yesterday. And I just sat there and said, okay, something's really up here. Something is going on. If you can release Braun Strowman, who was literally just in a world title feud, was in a main WrestleMania storyline that, yes, sucked, but one of your top guys, even if he was booked like shit over times, one of your top guys over the past 5 years. Braun Strowman came up to the main roster in 2015 when Bray Wyatt was feuding with Roman Reigns. And at first, when he was with the Wyatt family, Braun Strowman was not that special. But then when he was split from the Wyatt family, when the brand split returned in 2016, he was on Raw, he got a singles push. And he slowly grew on all of us. And then he became very popular whenever he feuded with Roman Reigns. Starting, of course, with his big beatdown segment he had on Raw, when he beat the crap out of Roman Reigns and even flipped over the ambulance he was in. He literally just took off from there. And fans begged WWE to push him. Begged him to put the world title on him. He was ready. He was right there, ready to go. The prime man to take out the Beast. Of course, though, that was not the case, as Braun Strowman was just a filler feud for Brock Lesnar before Brock Lesnar would defend the title against Roman Reigns how many times that following summer, starting with WrestleMania. And after that, Braun Strowman just went downhill. They turned him face, which was the right thing to do, but then he turned into a child's play toy. This man, for crying out loud, began his babyface run rising out of garbage from a garbage truck. And then, what did they do with him? Oh yeah, he was in the Elimination Chamber in 2018. He eliminated everybody in that match but Roman Reigns, who took him out. Then they had him randomly take out Roman after the match, and after that it was just like, Braun Strowman literally was just out there just to make people pop, because, oh my gosh, he does big destructive things. And after a while it's like, okay, yes, he does big destructive things, but he's getting nothing in return out of them. Nothing. And then he feuded with a 10-year-old kid. No, I'm sorry. He tag-teamed with a 10-year-old kid at WrestleMania. Shoot, I need to put something on real quick. Hang on. I forgot I need to split this, but that way I can rewind it at least whenever I get to the TV. I'll probably have to rewind before I start watching my show. But yes, Braun Strowman won the tag titles at WrestleMania with a 10-year-old kid. How did this guy go from a big big angry monster to the freaking babysitter among men? As my friend Roy Kenobi called him. Like he turned into a child's play toy when he turned face, basically. And then he won Money in the Bank. But then they squandered that and turned him heel for no freaking reason. Well, even though he was obviously the baby face in what would happen with him and the Shield. And then when Roman Reigns got sick, then we needed him to turn face again. They could put the world title on him, but no! They had to put it back on Brock Lesnar and have him have a piss-poor feud with Baron Corbin. And he was supposed to get a title match again at Rumble, but they pulled him from that the way he wouldn't lose to him. And then, I think on a Chronicle episode, it even came out that he had a private conversation with Vince McMahon, basically telling him that I'm not ready for you to be my top guy yet. When are you going to be ready? You were never ready. You were never going to make Braun Strowman your top guy. That is just full of shit. And then, what did he do? Oh yeah, then that WrestleMania. He feuded with two guys from Saturday Night Live. Michael Chi and Colin Jost. Couldn't stand them. Instantly at WrestleMania 35, when I was there live, and it came down to just those three in the Andre Giant Warrior Battle Royale, I got food. I'm like, this is stupid. This is absolutely stupid. And then, I can't even remember what he did, throughout 2019. He won the Intercontinental Championship at the beginning of 2020, and he dropped it in a 3-on-1 handicap match with Sami Zayn. They had no plans for Braun Strowman whatsoever for WrestleMania last year. No plans. But then, guess what? Roman Reigns walks away because to take care of his family during the pandemic. All of a sudden, oh, Braun, we need you to fight Goldberg. And they gave him a run with the Universal Championship when nobody cared anymore. And also, they didn't want Braun Strowman to be Universal Champion. They needed Braun Strowman to be Universal Champion because Roman Reigns was not there. Because the instant Roman got back, it was back to knocking Braun back out of the main event scene again, and he was on Raw fighting Davikato on Raw Underground. And then he gets suspended for whatever reason last fall, and then they bring him back, and then he feuds with Shane McMahon, and all they can do is have just Shane basically say he thinks Braun's stupid. And they made Braun look stupid as well. And then he just feuded with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre for a world title, and then he gets released out of the blue. And the rumors are because his contract was too big. Bullcrap. Bullcrap because you're going to be making how much money from TV revenue, and fans are coming back to, if you can survive this pandemic, I mean, okay, I'm not going to go that far because I feel like that I don't even know what their backstage situation is. But point being said is, WWE makes a lot of money anyways. They're like, why did he use the excuse that Braun Strowman's contract was too big? They just didn't, well, either they didn't need Braun Strowman anymore, or Braun got fed up and asked for his release. Like, Buddy Murphy and Braun Strowman, I could have both seen asking for their release. But I still thought at times Braun Strowman, he's booked in, main storylines, usually most of the time. I still was still shocked. Like, you couldn't tell me I woke up yesterday and say Braun Strowman's getting released today. You couldn't tell me at the beginning of this year Braun Strowman was going to be getting released from the WWE. But if there's anyone on this list that I feel bad for, it's Braun Strowman. It's definitely Braun Strowman. Because this man, the crowd loved him. But they didn't capitalize on him at the right time. They used him to basically, when they were desperate for a pop, they threw Braun out there and told him, wreck shit up and make people cheer. And people just saw through that, and it got old. It got old because they knew it was not going to lead to anything for Braun Strowman, so why should we care? Again, WWE gave him the championships because they wanted to. They needed him. He would have never been world champion if Roman Reigns did not, speak up and step aside. They needed Braun Strowman to be champion at the time. And, like I said, I just still cannot believe that he was one of the men that got released. I still cannot. I'm still shocked. And, he, out of all 6 of these, he's the one that I have no clue what's going to happen with him. Again, Santana Garrett, she'll go to, the Indies or something. Buddy Murphy, he'll go to, New Japan, or, probably New Japan. People are saying Ruby Riott AEW, Lana AEW, Aleister Black has a lot of revenues. Again, Braun Strowman's only wrestling avenue has been WWE as far as I know. I don't see him going to AEW. I don't know if he go any other promotion or maybe Impact, maybe, I don't know. But Braun Strowman, is a power lifter. That's what he was doing before he came to WWE. So, he's made a name for himself there. Again, Tag Team Champion multiple times, Universal Champion, Intercontinental Champion, very briefly, Andre the Giant Royal Battle Royal winner, and he also won the Greatest Royal Rumble, forgot about that. So, that's the big question is, where does he go? Where does Braun Strowman go? But this is one person, Braun Strowman definitely is the one I am the most interested in hearing a podcast on him when it's time for him to talk about his departure from WWE. And I still can't believe I'm saying that. So yeah. I talked quite a bit, guys. But that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on the 6 WWE releases yesterday, June 2nd, 2021. Again, they were Santana Garrett, Buddy Murphy, Ruby Riott, Lana, Aleister Black, and Braun Strowman. Leave your thoughts in the live chat, and then I'm going off the air to watch my shows. They should have released Jeff Hardy. Oh, definitely, yes. Jeff Hardy I should have gone to. Jeff Hardy's someone else that should have never re-signed, but he did, and now look where he is. He's on main event. He's absolute shit now in WWE. Keith Lee and Mia Yim, they're not doing anything with them. I still don't know what the heck's going on with Keith Lee. Like, I'm actually very worried about Keith Lee. What are you going to do with Liv Morgan? I wouldn't be surprised if she got released next. Oh, no, they're going to keep Liv Morgan. You want to know why? Blonde hair, blue eyes, apple pie, big ones. You know, they're going to keep Liv. They're going to because of what she looks like. Vince is a load of shit for Braun. Braun was a born main eventer for sure. We got Lauren. What's up, Lauren? She's most shocked by Aleister, Lana, Ruby, and Braun. And apparently more are coming. I've heard rumors Vince might be selling WWE. I don't know if it's going to be true or not to NBC. Bray is the only one left from the Wyatt family. What do you see? Which releases do you see? As of this point, I don't think WWE can afford to release any more talent. If you don't release any more, they might as well just close down the whole company. Because yes, mostly people I would love to see get out, but it's to a point now where it's just like, is there even anybody left? Like, most of the people that are still there right now, they fought each other already. They've all wrestled each other. So it's like, there's nothing fresh at all unless you bring a few people from NXT. Tyler's angry. Joe is gone. Now he's pissed that Braun is gone. The Riott Squad was originally set to win at WrestleMania 37. For real? They should have. Again, AEW, I definitely see grabbing Lana, Ruby Riott. Those two. Maybe Aleister, I don't know. Like I said, they need more women, but they're pretty full with the men's roster, I think. Biggest shock releases this year are definitely Joe, Mickey, Strowman, Maria, Ruby. Maria was last year. Aleister, Zelina, Rusev, and Lana. And that's another thing. There was rumors recently that Zelina Vega was going to be coming back to WWE. Just recently. So that makes me even shocked even more that they released Aleister Black, since they're married in real life. Jinder needs to go. Yes. Watch Ali, Lee, and Yim go next. Oh, God. Like, again, at this point, again, I like the Braun release especially concerned me, because it's like, what the heck happened that you release a guy who was used as much as Braun Strowman? That was literally before he left in a championship feud, and he gets released. Unless he asked for it, he couldn't stand anymore. But whatever happened to Mia Yim debuting on SmackDown, I have no clue. And Lauren's checking out. Okay, I'm going to check out too, guys, because I want to watch my show. So I have a few things I got to do before I go to bed and get ready for my parents to come home tomorrow. So yeah, guys, thank you for joining me live again. I meant to do this last night, but I just had a ton on my plate and trying to get so much done. Still things I want to get done tonight, but I also have some TV I want to watch too. So guys, thank you for joining me live again. That's my thoughts on WWE's 6 releases yesterday. What are your thoughts on these? Leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. Are you concerned with the state of the WWE at this point, with how many big names they've gotten rid of recently? Make sure you guys leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. Slap a like on the video, and subscribe for more content to my channel. Follow me on Twitter at TheMayor93. Make sure to also check out my recent reviews, my recent Brit and match cards. I'm going to try to get back to the Harry Potter Let's Play soon. And I promise you soon, I will start reviewing some sitcoms also. Yeah, I have my first one in mind already. I'm just trying to knock a couple little odds and ends out. So, we'll see how it goes. But that's going to do it, guys. I'm calling it a night. I'm going to do a few things and go to bed. Have a great night. See you all later, guys. Peace out, everybody.
No